Zero-tech farms and AFK fishing farms have been removed. And most people are happy about it, including those who always complain about everything. They called it overpowered, they call it an exploit, they called it being worse than duping. And that made me ask a question. Why do people enjoy some unintended mechanics but hate the others? Why we don't consider mob farms as duping, for example, or why we don't consider bigger alternatives to zero-tick farms as duping. After all, you do something and then it gives you infinite resources automatically. Also, some people tend to not like new iron farm mechanics from 1.14 and call them overpowered, even if some 1.12 iron farm designs were producing much more iron than that. And speaking of duping, here is a post from a developer telling us that indie duping is basically intended at this point, until we have a designed feature to fill that gap. Movable tile entities and renewable entities. I think the answer lies in how much effort you need to put in to get a reward. With zero-tick farms you spend 5 minutes and you get all sugarcane, bamboo and cactus you will ever need, which completely invalidates any need in bigger farms. So, basically, having these farms available in the game removes content in the form of those farms. That's the exact same reason why people didn't like AFK fishing farms, because it provided you with enchanted books. There are less reasons to play with villagers or an enchanting table. But surprise, can't you just ignore these GT farms? Well, yeah, but you see, having goals in a video game is a very subjective thing. Like, logically, you don't need to play video games at all and everything in games is pointless, right? So, because goals in video games are subjective, the very existence of an easy way to obtain something makes it harder to justify why you should go for a more challenging option. Also, if you are a content creator, then working on more challenging and less rewarding options isn't going to bring you any views. But what do I know about having views? But at the same time, I see an issue with complicated contraptions as well. People like to bash on one-block solutions because they, quote-unquote, remove creativity from the game. But if you think of it, only a small portion of players can experience the creative process of designing those complicated contraptions, while the vast majority of players just copy them block by block from a tutorial, usually without even understanding what is going on. Let's take my Ender Pearl network as an example. Tell me, do you understand how exactly this Ender Pearl holding chamber works? I barely can. In fact, this part I took from somebody else and adapted for my needs. Could you design this chamber on your own? Let me know in the comments. Iron farms, gold farms, Witherose farms, you name it. I think you get the point. There is no creative process in building those farms unless you're actually one who designs them in the first place. And unless you have something to your design nobody else has, then what's the point of reinventing the wheel? And to get to the point when you are capable of designing your own redstone contraptions, you need to build, inspect, and understand pre-existing designs in the first place. So, we have a dip in the creativity curve when you initially can invent these little things like basic sugarcane farms on your own. But when it comes to iron farms, gold farms, etc., your design you probably won't even come up with a design. Like, for example, the way I farmed iron before starting watching videos was just waiting for them to spawn in a village and killing them from a place where iron golems can reach. If you think of it, modded Minecraft might have more player creativity to it, because you can build contraptions that will do their job without having to watch a tutorial. In fact, there is probably no tutorial because each specific pack has unique arrangement of mods and recipes, and you always use different things from a mod pack to a mod pack. And here's why I think new iron farms are better than old ones. While they don't have the depth for people on the very edge, they are more accessible, while accessible 1.12 iron farms were producing like 40 iron ingots per hour, which isn't nearly enough. In my video about iron farms, I have made Factorio into an example of how you can make technical progression when you don't have to rely on the community to provide you with blueprints, and thus you can be creative on your own. But you can use blueprints if you want to go to the very edge. And no, I don't suggest Minecraft to become like Factorio or modded Minecraft. But I have no idea what to suggest instead. I think the technical tree for most Minecraft resources should be like this. Manual collection, simple automation with deliberately made mechanics, advanced manual collection, advanced automation, and large-scale automation on top. Here is an example where it works. Bamboo. You can harvest it manually. You can have a very basic farm that will slowly supply with bamboo automatically. You can grow more bamboo and harvest a whole field manually. You can make more automatic modules to get more bamboo per hour. And you can go ham and build something very, very large that can give you bamboo for decades. But unfortunately, Minecraft lacks these parts in many other cases. Let's take gold as an example. You can mine it manually. Can you have a simple scale automation of gold? No, you have to build a proper farm for it. And what do I mean by simple automation? Something like this. Something you can put together in 5 minutes without having to look for a tutorial, and it will slowly give you what you need. And that automation ideally should be slower than manual work, so that manual work is not completely invalidated. Advanced manual collection is also not present. You just mine, mine, and mine. Of course, you get more gold from the mesa biome, but the gameplay is still the same. Advanced automation checked. Large-scale automation... I've heard it is possible, but with an extreme amount of effort, so I cannot tell for sure. But I think you see the point. You either do things manually or you copy tutorials. And having all 5 stages for most materials would solve this issue, while keeping room for what technical community loves Minecraft for, bending Minecraft mechanics to our needs. So, yeah, I believe this is what we need in Minecraft to solve the issue that spawned SimplySark's video about iron farms, a couple of response videos to that video, and a weird place of technical Minecraft in general. To reiterate, the issue is that automation is usually not a part of the natural progression, and if we would add an intermediate stage between manual collection and current farms, which would fit natural progression, Minecraft would be a much more interesting game with more places for creativity. Also, it would be a bridge for casual players to become advanced players, and once you have played around with small-scale automation for long enough, you will have enough knowledge to understand how bigger automation works. Bye-bye.